Hi, I'm Cole Fletcher, Senior Tech Rep over at Creative Polymer Solutions, Accufoam. I've been in the business since 2010. I started out as a assistant on a foam rig for an installation company up in northern Alabama. Did that for a few years, became a national technical trainer for that company on a corporate level. Um, Again, did that for a few years, left that in 2013. Started working in the equipment industry, doing rig designs, building, training from 2013 to 2015. Then I got hired on at a chemical manufacturing facility, worked for them for a few years, and now I'm here at Accufoam. And I've been here since February of last year. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of misconception on the properties that these chemicals have and some of the hazardous properties that they may have. And one of the misconceptions is people identify the two components that make the polyurethane foam, the isocyanate and the polyurethane polyol. By themselves, independently, they have safety data sheets that will identify some of the environmental hazards and the personal protective hazards and stuff like that. That is the responsibility of the contractor to be aware of. He is exposed to the chemicals independently. However, once the product has been mixed at the gun and is finished properly, meaning that the ratio is correct, the temperatures were correct, and the processes were followed to where they need to be, the finished product is a inert plastic material. So there is a separate data sheet for a finished product because it is chemically different than the two components that started the process. So you have the two components that are mixed, create another product completely. So we need to make sure that when we're educating consumers on safety of the product, it's on the finished product, not the consumed products for manufacturing. Yeah, so some of the common themes that I've seen throughout my industry time is that there's a misunderstanding between production efficiency and quality of the product. A lot of people have this idea that the product has to be a certain look, flat, pretty cosmetic foam. And then there's the production aspect of it. I think that there needs to be an understanding that there's a happy balance and customer-led expectation on what's going to be delivered. I think that's our biggest struggle in the industry at the moment. On top of that would be having customers understand the differences in the environmental conditions and the equipment configurations from day to day. So every day is new chance to learn, to evaluate, and create the best product you can. Yeah, so one of the problems that we find in the industry is that uh, yesterday everything was fine. We show up today and there's a change in the performance of the product. It is our job to show up and identify the problem and then what those problems could be caused from. So we need to identify the problem, whether it be equipment, it could be application technique, it could be a environmental factor such as humidity or dew point. That's our job, is to come in and find, isolate, and repair those problems and try to get the customer back onto the track and then educate that consumer on why we did what we did and how to prevent that in the future. So when manufacturing polyurethane foam, you have quality control steps that need to be taken into account on the manufacturing side at the plant, also in the field, because we're manufacturing on site, right? We're mobile manufacturers. So when it comes to quality control and being able to repeat product quality day in and day out, is identifying the equipment configurations set for those environmental conditions. So in the lab setting, we have a consistent environmental system that we're in. So we're identifying what the problems could be from a chemical standpoint without the problems of the equipment or the environment, right? So we can identify the chemistry side of it. Once the material gets to the site, the QC steps come in and we're starting to identify things from environmental, substrate, equipment, and personal performance evaluations on what we're doing wrong and what can be affected that way. So it's very important that we do our quality control checks every step of the way. Yeah, so we want to make sure that we're consistent with the products that we're putting out into the field. So every time we blend a batch of material, a sample is taken from that particular batch. It is sprayed in our QC lab with the equipment configuration that is the same day in and day out. So that way, if we can eliminate the variables of environmental and equipment, the product should spray the same every time we do a QC batch. So that allows us to identify that in the field, if there's a problem, more than likely it's not from the original batch manufacturing process, because we've already dialed in that material and it's performed then. And if there's inconsistencies in the field, it allows us to identify other issues potentially.